Dr. Homebrew is brought to you by 5 Star Chemicals, providing safety and cleaning supplies for brewing, distilling, and winemaking at 5starchemicals.com.
Doctor, look.
Stand aside, nurse. I'm Dr. Homebrew.
Yeah, clear.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Dr. Homebrew, and we're just, having an air jam session in the studio here.
Yep.
I don't know what instrument Bev's playing, but
rhythm and goth.
Rhythm and goth. I'm on the heavy depression. We have a good show for you guys. We have 2 homebrewers. We have 2 homebrewed beers and no regrets. And no, we have an international amber lager. What is an international
That's one you don't get every
lager?
time. It's kind of like lighter than a Vienna, but it's kind of a place for some of those adjunct laden, ambery, lagery things that lurk around there. Some of them in Mexico, some of them in Europe, but yeah,
okay,
and America too.
And then we have a Saison.
Yes,
as well, and I'm ready for both of these.
Saison has a nice label too.
It does. It's a big old fat cat with a big old pooch pouch.
Fat cat. Yeah, it's got the pudge, like 3 layers of pudge.
Yeah, 3 layers of pudge. Dude, look at that. It's actually, there's a face in the pooch pouch.
Oh,
yeah. Before we get to our first guest, who is called Vaughn, I believe, I want to thank 5 Star. Go to 5starchemicals.com, and they bring you this show. They bring you every show. They were a sponsor of our show here before it was even really recorded or on the air, which is kind of cool.
True.
So they believe in what we're doing, because what we're doing is we're bringing the word of good beer to you people, and that's what they help you with. They help you clean and sanitize your stuff by selling you really good chemicals. So check them out, 5starchemicals.com.
I'm out of PBW.
Dude, never run out of PBW.
Wow. Sucks.
Homebrewer 101, dude. Never run out of PBW. You can run out of all the other stuff, but PBW, never going to happen. With us, of course, is Nicole Ernie today.
Hi.
We are dual Brian-less. We are back to one Brian.
This will be easier.
I feel much more comfortable with just one Brian.
Me too. Because
2 Brians is too many.
Well, and then on the last show, we had 2 Brians, and then we had a Brian entrant, homebrewers. We had 3 Brians.
Do you still have nightmares?
I have to be shaken awake every night by my therapist, which is weird.
What, the smoke doesn't wake you up from the wildfires?
Jeez.
Oh, man.
No, we're not that bad, not yet, but
Coming to you from a blanket of wildfire smoke is Dr. Homebrew.
Or a gas mask on the way to the studio.
Yeah, driving across the hill, I guess I have a little bit better, but I was like sneezing in the car. I was like, what is this?
So you go out and you get a headache right away. It's just nasty.
Yeah, it's not good. So let's try to tidy this up and show up real fast and get out of here as soon as possible. All right, Vaughn, you should be on the line. Are you there?
I am. How are you doing?
Good. How you doing?
Good, man.
Perfect. Well, thanks for sending us. We have a couple beers, so we'll be talking to you in the future at some point, in the near future. But we're going to do the International Amber Lager tonight. So while we get that beer poured into our glasses, if you wouldn't mind, give me a little rundown of your history with this beer. Have you brewed it before, or is this a brand new recipe?
This is the second time I've brewed this beer,
okay.
And just trying to get it dialed in a little better.
Okay, all right. So you weren't super stoked with the first one, and you're sending this one into the esteemed panel on Dr. Homebrew to help you out.
Definitely.
Sure. Whatever you say, Jason. It's fine. It's all right. And how long have you been homebrewing?
About 7 years.
All right. I don't know why I really like asking that. I don't know why. Does it give everybody a sense of like knowledge, or I guess knowledge really isn't a thing anymore?
But I mean, like, how long have you been homebrewing, and how often do you homebrew?
That might be a better.
It's all about density.
Yeah. Did you call me fat in some way?
I mostly do 5-gallon batches, so typically I do about 100 gallons a year, so 20 times or so a year, I guess.
I do 199.8 gallons a year, just under the threshold,
Right.
but not really. Nicole, if you wouldn't mind, please, would you start us off?
Steer us out to
With Vaughn's
Well, I was
beer,
noticing
please.
that you've increased your density since you became a dad.
Wow.
The homebrew. I thought we were.
I'm talking about my pants.
I thought we were
Yeah.
something JP.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
and don't let it color your impression of the beer, but I understand that this beer is called Glory Hole.
Oh, boy.
I've noticed your thighs have gotten denser with homebrew, JP, and it's... Anyway, go ahead, please.
All right. So I got some kind of peanut buttery, then peach marmalade, peanut brittle kind of aroma. I was guessing maybe some Munich malt was contributing to those aromas. I got some floral aroma, and then it was kind of followed by a musty, mushroomy, kind of earthy note, and maybe perhaps a little touch of trichlorosanisol.
What's trichlorosanisol?
So that's like what's
Like
typically
Star
referred to as cork taint.
Okay.
Then I got a rich toastiness, which I thought might be a little overstated for the style. And then as the beer warmed up, I started to get a little bit of like a butterscotchy note, which I think might be kind of a faint diacetyl. The color was kind of a burnished orange gold color. I can't stand myself sometimes. With an ecru head, it formed and retained moderately. It was nearly brilliantly clear. Then once I got the beer in my mouth, the mustiness became a little bit more apparent in the rich old nasal aroma. So definitely like a mushroomy, wet basement that might be TCA. It's pretty low, so I couldn't be 100% on identifying that. It reminded me of a level of that kind of earthiness that might be acceptable in a beer to guard, but wouldn't be in an international amber lager. There's a nice kind of light toasted sweet baguette, kind of like French, toasted French bread malt flavor, which I thought was really pleasant. While it smelled a little bit overstated in the aroma and the flavor, like that malt toastiness seemed within appropriate range. Medium light bitterness that was super pleasant. It was perfect, no harshness there. And then the body, medium light body with a medium carbonation, which was also really pleasant. No alcohol warmth, no astringency. And I thought it was a really well-made beer that has a mustiness that might come from contaminated fermentation or maybe some affected raw ingredients. So sometimes this can happen to your grains. It can also come into a beer during storage. So if you have this, and if you're, wherever you're storing your beer has that aroma, it's going to make its way into beer because it can actually get under the cap.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
Yeah. So that's kind of my notes.
What score did you give?
27.
All right. Brian.
Okay. The Glory Hole. Here we go. I like that.
We lost
that peanut buttery thing.
Vaughn just hung up.
He's like,
sorry, guys.
He's like, I don't like you guys.
It's like, you know what? You guys can.
Let's get him back.
Yeah. Whoa, what is going on?
All right.
Yes. Go ahead.
Vaughn, was it something I said?
Hello?
Vaughn. Hey, dude.
Hey.
Sorry about that.
Did Nicole drive you away?
Yeah, was it something I
No.
She drove you away like a good rolling boil.
Little connection trouble there.
Anyway, Brian, go ahead, please.
Okay. Yeah, I'm getting kind of a low in the nose, a low Munich-y, kind of lightly toasty malt aroma. No obvious esters in there. It seemed, pretty nicely lagered. A light... What I got is maybe kind of a light marshmallow note in the background. I don't know if it was anything related to what Nicole was getting there, or like kind of a toasted marshmallow note. Seems slightly sweet, a little low spicy hop. but pretty faint. It just seemed like a clean lager. No, I didn't get any DMS. As it warmed, I thought there might have been a faint butterscotchy, but I didn't get a big diacetyl. It's not like a butter bomb or anything like that.
No, not at all. Yeah.
It's a nice coppery orangish color. The medium formed head of tan bubbles. Had reasonably good retention. I think the glassware we use here just everything kind of falls flat. So it stuck around for a while, and that was good. Fine bubbles. The clarity was very good. I thought it's kind of a nice looking beer. I gave it actually full points for appearance because nothing wrong there.
Me too.
Medium toasty malt in the flavor. It's smooth. It's not too sharp or biting. Kind of pleasant. Finishes semi-dry. Again, seems cleanly lagered. The bitterness is medium-low. It's enough to balance the malt. Stands up to it nicely. There's some light toast. And again, that faint marshmallow in the aftertaste. It seemed like clean brewed with no major flaws to me, but I got a little bit of a faint solvent that came out late and kind of built up on me as I got into the mouthfeel. So one thing that I noted too is it doesn't seem like there's a lot of a lot of these you'll use a corn adjunct and you'll sense that it's it's kind of just refreshing and a lot of you can feel the adjunct in there just kind of like dries out a little more without being biting and just kind of smooth like mass-produced lagers are, but it didn't have a lot of that kind of. It seemed like it might have been kind of low on the adjunct, and it's kind of bold for the style perhaps, and toasty like Nicole said. So
yeah,
medium light bodied, has a medium high carbonation, and I found a bit of a carbonic bite in there. It's just a little bit of an attack as you drink it. No stringency though. Not very creamy, but yet it's fairly smooth. I felt like I got a little bit of warming in there. It's not super hot, but it's a little bit of an alcohol bite in there that kind of poked out unexpectedly. I guess these can go up to about 6%, but it's either towards the high end of that or the alcohol that's in there is a little sharp. But yeah, I'm trying to get at the cork taint thing. I might need to do some training on that because I'm just not, as I'm kind of aspirating it and I'm kind of getting that kind of, maybe it's just expressing itself as in a different way to me, like a marshmallowy thing. But I could see a little mustiness, not like super intense to me, just really faint. If it's, it's not like this is a big, yeah.
I mean, if I'm looking for it, and as you guys are talking about it, I can sort of get it, I guess, but then I don't know. I don't trust it enough for me to go, now I can pick it up.
So like when I ask, I draw a little bit into my mouth and then I pull some air through it to aspirate it, and then I kind of get a little bit in the back of my mouth, and just like in the aroma going back into my nasal cavity there. So yeah,
I think I got some up my nose when I did that.
That's what it is. Then I need to work on identifying that better because Anyway, it seems like a very well-brewed example of style, other than it's just a bit too bold. There's some fine points, other than that, to detract from it. Perhaps a little mustiness. And I think that the carbonation, though, drives the flavors pretty well without too much bite. There's a faint solvent that could be addressed. And I would just say, use a little bit more adjunct to kind of lighten up the body and the overall flavors. Which seems like a nice job to me. You can clean up these couple of things, and it'll be a pretty nice beer. I gave it a 34. I actually liked it fairly well. It was pretty, it was a very good example of the style.
Oh, excellent. I would give it a 32 because I kind of agree with both of you guys that maybe some of the specialty malt flavors are a little bit aggressive for the style, but it's also kind of enjoyable at the same time. But maybe it's a little too sweet so it's just Vaughn, do you have any questions for the judges here today? You want to drill down on something?
I guess one thing I noticed was I entered a competition on the East Coast, and then I entered one in California last weekend with the same beer, and they scored on the East Coast. It was like a 39. The California comp was a 30. I haven't got their score sheets back yet. They've had issues with their loading of the PDF version of the score sheet.
Better on the West Coast, Vaughn.
Just wondering, do you think this style beer would be adversely affected in the travel, or how do you think that would fare?
Adversely affected by the California judges. They're just notoriously stingy in their scoring. No, no. And most of the judges I know out here are very good, and we train them well. We work hard to get them schooled in the art here. But yeah, I think that travel does definitely not do the beer any favors. The longer it sits on a UPS truck, it's going to.
Anything that's wrong with your beer before you send it, it's going to get amplified.
Yeah.
It's kind of like plugging in the amp. It's gonna change the character of the beer and make it louder.
Unless you send it in just a turbo cooled environment that you somehow engineer and get back every time.
Right.
Doesn't get swiped by the competition staff like, whoa, this is a cool gadget. We didn't see that. No, yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I thought it was a pretty good example. I could see where it fell as far as the style goes, and it's not a style that I seek out all the time, but it's one that they added in 2015 to the guidelines, and it's kind of like, oh, this is there's a place for this beer, and it's a refreshing beer, and it has has a lot going for it because you can drink a fair amount of it and not get wasted like when you're drinking triple IPAs all night.
Right.
It's pleasant. So yeah, what inspired you to brew this style?
I just want to say something. That 10-point disparity you were describing, it's like, welcome to what it's like to be a pro brewer, right? It's just like, once you send that beer away, what's it going to taste like when it gets 5 miles from your brewery, 10 miles from your brewery, 100 miles from your brewery,
right.
2,000 miles from your brewery. It's like you just lose control, and that's.
I can see why so many brewers just like having it served right there, and they're hesitant to do even cans, let alone bottling and sending it out in the world too much. Yeah, just cans that you sell at your brewery. That's what a lot of the local ones just do anymore. Yeah. They have people that oversee just getting them to the store, making sure they're fresh and removing old stuff. But yeah, back to the question: what did inspire you to brew this one though? What's your your world of international amber lagers that makes you brew at least a couple of these already?
I'm sure you guys have heard of Yingling.
Yeah.
But it's not available in the state of Maine, so I was trying to dial something in along those lines. A bunch of the people in our homebrew club, kind of if we travel across state line, that's one of the more requested bigger brewery beers that is asked to be brought back. So,
wow, that's crazy. So you're trying to make it. So do you? How do you feel you did with it?
It definitely needs some tweaks to get there. But.
Okay.
What adjuncts do you use and what percentage?
Let's go through the recipe real fast if you wouldn't mind.
So it was 19% Munich 10, 56% two-row, 2% brown malt, 5% Crystal 80, 9% Carapils, and 9% flaked corn.
What about hops?
I did it. Hops, there was an ounce of Cascade at 60 and a half ounce of Magnum at 10.
How did you develop that recipe? As are you trying to reverse engineer Yingling, or you
find it online or something?
Find it online, yeah.
Advice from people, yeah.
I just kind of took a stab at it, I guess. The first iteration I did, I used Crystal 120, and it had too much of that raisiny.
Yeah. Even did you say Crystal 80?
There was some C80, but 5%, right?
Crystal 80, yeah, 5%.
It sounds to me like you have a lot of specialty malts in this beer, and typically commercial breweries don't use such high percentages. It's usually a little more understated, kind of like less is more kind of thing. Most breweries are trying to keep their specialty malts under under 10 or 15% total, and kind of more relying on a base malt to drive the flavor, because good beer is all about, one of the a huge component of really good beer is like just really, really great base malt.
Yeah, for sure.
So that might be something you want to consider as you move forward, is just slash that specialty malt in half, and
the Munich does really poke out too. It's, you might try some Vienna or blend in some something lighter, less, or a light Munich kind of. But yeah, it's you want to get the color from somewhere. It's towards the dark end for the style, but it's not out way down there. But yeah, you could definitely back away on some of that stuff.
You could lose several SRM and still be within range, so you don't have to worry too much about that.
So the flake corn was the only adjunct, like 9%. Is that right?
It was, yeah. It was, yeah.
I mean, you can consider doing a cereal mash and just do it separately like they do. It's it's not fun stirring boiling
making
corn grits, but for a while until they gelatinize. But hey, that's the way it's done. And mix it in with your mash, and off you go. But flake corn is a quick way to get there. You could put a little more flake maize in there the next time, and
what percentage do you think would be appropriate for this style, Brian? 15%?
I think even 15 or even 20 could be fine.
That would lighten up the body a lot, which would make the beer just like a little more like easy to drink. Because this beer style is all about being like super easy to drink.
Right.
The idea is like it's the super easy to drink but flavorful light beer.
Yeah, absolutely.
But bold.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
No, it's a tasty one though. Definitely keep working on that and have some fun with it. Any other specifics? What yeast did you use?
This was actually White Labs 940. Their Mexican lager yeast.
Okay, yeah. The yeast seems like it did fine for it. And what did you ferment it at? Like,
say that again.
What did you ferment at? Like 50s?
It was 58.
Yeah, that's maybe a little up there. You might try to drop that back a little bit.
Okay.
Just let it go a little longer, and
just a touch.
But I mean, for how hard it is to make a lager and like this and not have too much in the way, it's doing pretty well. But yeah, it tastes like it might have seemed like it might have been a little high fermented, and that seems a little warm.
Okay.
Anything else, Vaughn?
I think that's going to do it.
Okay, cool. Well, hey, man, definitely brew it again, and let us know how it comes out, huh?
Will do.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, man. Thanks a lot again. Appreciate it.
Cheers. Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
All right, later.
Cool. Yeah.
I liked it. That's good stuff.
You don't. I don't think we've
want to call him back.
Ever had one of these, probably.
I mean, I've had Yingling.
Yeah, I mean that we've had one on the show, but yeah,
Yingling is so light, and definitely has that corny kind of character.
Yeah, for sure. And
which I wouldn't want to replicate. Like you make Yingling only better, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. I mean, Vaughn's was a little, for me, just a little sweeter than usual, a little heavier mouthfeel because of the specialty malts, but you guys already covered that. But for the most part, I thought the flavor was there because it does have that kind of like grainy, bready, corny kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's a good beer.
It's a mistake that so many homebrewers make when they start out, especially new homebrewers. They get so excited about all the different malts that there are at the homebrew store. They just want to use all of them.
I still do that shit.
Yeah,
I'll go
so
with my
easy.
recipe and I'll go, well, I have this, but there's 3 other malts that do the same thing, so why don't I use them all? And I have to fight. I have that fight internally every single time.
It doesn't taste good. It's kind of like, everybody wants to make the same pale ale with different hops every time. Make the same pale ale with a different specialty malt every time and see what happens there too, because that's a lot of how commercial breweries develop their signature flavor is like they pick out a couple specialty malts that they like and that they do well and stick with them, and it gives them a signature flavor. Like there's so many specialty malts out there. You can get crystal malt from Patagonia, you can get crystal malt from all kinds of different places in the world. They're all treated differently from all kinds of different malting houses, and now with all the micro maltsters
for sure.
But you can't get too excited and try to put it all in your beer because it just you don't get any definition, and you don't actually get to taste the flavor of those malts that are present. So
I saw a beer marketed the other day that it had Mecca Grade in it. Like it was
Yeah.
a Mecca Grade specialty malt of some sort.
That's
in
the
it.
new-
Like,
yeah,
and they
it's the new
marketed it.
hotness.
I was like, that's so cool. I just saw those people talking at Homebrew Con last summer. That's cool.
Rein it in, y'all.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we take a break, I want to let you guys know that if you have let your AHA membership lapse, which you should never do, of course, but you can go to our website, click on the banner, and everybody that purchases a membership through the web banner click will receive a copy of Wild Brews and Farmhouse Ales, one or the other. Wild Brews or
Those are
Farmhouse
excellent
Ales, I guess.
books.
Yeah, for sure. And if you happen to be on the road or in a rush and you don't want to, the free book or whatever, use the code BN2018. It's BN2018. And put that in code into the Join Now portal. Oh, no, and you get the free books. Whatever.
Even if you're not a lapsed AHA member, you can still renew and get it too, right?
Yes, I think so.
so
I don't know. This
generous.
copy is definitely just
you're gonna renew it anyway.
Copy of an email. So I don't know. I apologize for the terrible read, folks. But anyway, go to BN2018. Enter that code in the Join Now portal, and you'll get your books if you don't want to wait for the web banner thing. Okay? Does that work?
Okay.
It's all right. All right, we're going to take a quick break, everybody. You're going to hear a word from Sully. And then when we come back, we're going to drink a Saison, right?
You can play a song too.
Do you want me to play a song? You got to pee?
No.
Yeah. Okay,
You just we were kind of jamming out on your R&B
bro, I will
grooves
play
there.
a friggin'
My
first of all,
glass
it's
is
not
extremely
R&B.
empty, so I don't mind a song.
Yeah, the more songs I play, the longer we have to be here, though, and I have to push everybody out already. But we'll see.
All right.
Maybe.
I can
We'll
wait.
see.
I can
All
wait.
right.
Hum a
Dr.
tune.
Homebrew, everyone. We'll be back right after this.
Hello, fellow BNers. This is Sully from the 21st Amendment Brewery located in San Francisco, just 2 blocks from Giants Park. Before Nico and I opened the 21A and before I was a professional brewer, I homebrewed on my small 4-burner apartment stove in a back house in Santa Monica, California, making my extract brews before graduating to the daunting idea of all-grain brewing. Homebrew books and information was hard to come by back then. The internet hadn't been invented yet, along with other things we take for granted today, like electricity and potable water. One thing I wish I had back then when I was learning was a radio show that could teach me the ins and outs of brewing and answer questions that I had about homebrewing, a resource for making great craft beer. The 21st Amendment Brewery is excited to be a proud sponsor of Dr. Homebrew, a great show that teaches you what you need to know about making incredible beer. Good stuff. Listen up, you might learn something. I certainly did. And thanks for your support. Tasty Crack Kings.
Now, back to the examination.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out and for putting up with that live read from Sully, which I personally enjoy, by the way.
Sully's a good cat.
Sully is a good guy, but you know what? Well, never mind. I'm not even going to say it because he probably didn't steal my game. It's fine. Let's do one quick live read here from White Labs. Pure liquid yeast means better beers. White Labs boasts the highest concentration of yeast in the industry thanks to their patented flex cell technology and pure pitch packaging. The yeast contained and delivered using these innovations are propagated in all grain wort, providing the perfect nutrients for growth and optimal performance. With White Labs' pure liquid yeast, your finished beers will meet the high-quality flavor profiles that you intend to produce. Discover the White Labs difference. Visit whitelabs.com today /yeastbank, to find the perfect strain for your next beer. I don't know what's wrong with these live reads, but maybe it's me, maybe it's, I don't know. It's probably just me.
It's you.
Oh, no, this one didn't foam up.
I can't, I don't know. I gotta read ahead, I guess, or something like that.
Are you about to judge a different beer than the one we judged?
Let's get Bill on the phone here. And
I
we're
feel
gonna
sad for Bill because they have
Saison?
Saison DuPont on in the tap room right now. So
Oh, yeah.
that's a tough one to be judged on.
That is a tough one. Saison DuPont is the Saison. Bill, are you there?
Yes, I am here. Can I conference in my wife real quick, please?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. I'll pot you
All right,
down
give me-
and we'll be right
You
back.
guys brewed this together.
Give me just a second.
Cool, no worries. No worries at all. Yeah, Bill was emailing me earlier. He's like, look, dude, I'm going to have my wife on, but I'll conference her because it's going to sound a lot better than just us both being on speakerphone. So I actually really admire that, and I appreciate that.
That's cool.
Because it is, speakerphone does not sound...
Considering our sound.
Not sound as good as it as you would think, as one would think. But, Brian... See, Bill, are you there? Are you guys on? Sarah, are you on there too?
Yeah, we're here.
Oh, perfect. How you guys doing tonight?
Great, yeah.
Perfect. We're just sitting here drinking your beer. I mean, what more can we ask?
Love the kitty cat label. It's a kitty with a pooch. It's quite a belly on that.
Well, that was actually modeled off of our cat that we had. She unfortunately passed away 2 years ago. Yeah. Yeah, she was actually that fat.
God, I love fat cats. They're the best. They're better than fat dogs, I'll tell you that. I don't know why.
They are.
Yeah.
So, Bill and Sarah, you guys are a homebrewing team, or do one of you brew and the other decided to join in this time?
Oh, no, we're a team.
Nice. How long have you guys been brewing together?
About 4 years. Yeah, a little over 4 years.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Is this your first Saison?
No. It's the only one that we've done, the only recipe we've done, but we've done it, about 5 times now?
5-6 times.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. And so this is this is the first with this recipe, though? Is that what you're saying?
No.
Okay.
We've changed the yeast, but it's just the same recipe we've been using.
I see. You're trying to dial in the recipe. So you're brewing the recipe.
Yeah.
Okay, I see. I apologize about that. And is that what we can help you with today? Just kind of figure out how to bring it into style, or what are you guys looking for as far as feedback from this?
Well, just if there's anything we can do to make it better. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Where do you guys think it is?
The first time that we ever brewed this, we got a gold medal at a local show with it.
Damn.
So.
Good job.
Hey, how do you get better than that? I don't know.
Yeah, well, I don't think the latest ones we've done have been as good as that first one, though. So.
Okay. Well, let me ask you a question that I've never asked anybody before in the history of me asking questions. What do you think this beer is at now? Like, if you had to give this beer a score, so that way maybe we can get a baseline on where you think it is, and maybe how we can help elevate it a bit. It's a hard question.
Myself, I don't know. Conservatively, I'd say 30, maybe.
Okay. Sarah, what about you?
Oh, I'll go along with him.
You guys are a team.
He's never judged before. Yeah. I have.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, that's good. Okay, Brian, why don't you go ahead and start us off here with Bill and Sarah's Saison?
Yeah. Okay. Aroma-wise, it is nice and fruity. It does have some pleasant notes of apricot, light melon, some faint orange in there, and a moderately low spicy quality from the yeast. Definitely getting some alcohol in there. The esters are pretty up there. The phenolics, it's got a light pepper with a medium clove-like note in it. You'd kind of want more of the pepper than the clove in this style. It's almost green pepper-like to me, and I'm getting a little bit of kind of an alcohol. The alcohol is not just smooth, sweet alcohol. It's kind of a little hotter than that. It's a little bit solventy. I'm not getting any diacetyl or acetaldehyde in here. So it's not like a heavily flawed beer or anything like that. It's just kind of driving some aromas that are a little that's a little sharp and that's a little off style, but not awful to any stretch of the imagination. So the first one we had, poured, it's a nice deep gold color, but we got some chunks of some brownish matter floating in the glass. It is fairly clear. The second sample we just poured doesn't have any chunks in it, so I don't know. It just might have been something that settled to the bottom of that one. At least maybe I poured mine first. Did you get some, Nicole? Oh, Nicole's got a chunk.
Bit.
There was a glass that we poured that we noticed there was some nucleation. I was like, oh, let's skip that one and pour another one. And I noticed that there's this kind of, I don't know. It's like, that's maybe like a centimeter by half a centimeter kind of blob.
It looks like from here a lemon seed. I don't know why.
Oh, it's about the size of a lemon seed. Not the thickness, though. It's flat.
Yeah.
It looks kind of like an egg with a brown yolk. I think there might have been something in the bottle. Tasting the two side by side, it didn't have a enormous effect on the flavor, but it did have an effect on the flavor. Like tasting this bottle that poured clear with no floaties, I think I might have scored it a few points higher, but my overall notes are about the same.
And I'm not seeing any big sediment on the bottom of this one. Do you have that? Can you grab the other bottle there, JP? Just want to see if there's any weird sediment that formed on the bottom of that. The bottoms look pretty clear, so it's weird.
Pretty clear.
The chunks are just kind of strewn throughout, I guess. Anyway,
reusing bottles is a tricky game, or even new bottles. Sometimes you just don't know what's in there. You gotta
a bit of funk in there.
Oh, that felt good, JP.
Boy.
JP just bashed the shit out of his knee. Kind of glorious to watch.
So in the flavor, I think it was. The beer, again, was fairly clear, had some fine whitish bubbles, but it didn't have the best head retention. It kind of just fell flat right away. So with the chunks and that, I just kind of gave it a 1 out of 3 for appearance, which, it should have a nice fluffy head, that long-lasting head, and just, the color is pretty good, the clarity is pretty good, but we can improve the other things. Flavor-wise, it's kind of spice and alcohol up front. The malt softness that you would want is kind of obscured by a somewhat biting alcohol, along with those, the spiciness. And it's like a clove and black pepper at the forefront of the phenolic flavors. It's definitely balanced to those yeast characters rather than either the malt or hops. And it's got a lot of substantial alcohol too, which is fine in there. Smooth alcohol in a saison, no problem. But it seems a little big. Finish is nice and dry. That's good. The bitterness is medium high. I'm not getting any big off flavors other than just the the kind of solventy thing. In the mouthfeel, I'm finding it's medium bodied, kind of bigger, warming. It's a bit hot. And it's not very creamy, smooth. It has a little low astringency to it, just a little bit of a biting quality from the spice, probably combined with that alcohol. And it's definitely got some nice, some warming. The warming goes all the way down the throat, and you feel that as it goes on. It just keeps going down. So, medium low carbonation. You could probably pump that up a bit. It seems like a decent recipe. It's just a lot of the driving is being done by the phenolics and the wherever the fermentation went with this. The alcohol is just a little too biting and sharp. I'll just take care to avoid sediment in the bottles. That's not going to impress the judge, but I didn't knock it down 10 points for that or anything like that. But I gave it a 25. But we were talking about upping the score by 20 points because the label's so cool.
Yeah.
So then it's a 45.
Plus 20 points because there's a cat on the label.
Yeah, on the label. So yeah, no, I liked it, and it's it's not. You can drink it. It's just
very pleasant beer. Yeah, absolutely.
It's poking out in a lot of different ways that bring it off balance for the style. So
definitely, this bottle is a little bit more just like generally enjoyable than the last one.
This one too. I
Even
agree.
though the flavor profiles they weren't augmented that much. I had a lot of similar notes to Brian, so I'll just kind of go over a little more quickly. But for the aroma, it's like pear, allspice, and then kind of an underripe peach, where like the kind of greening aromas. I did get a very, very faint level of acetaldehyde, which I wonder, like, I often detect acetaldehyde and then Brian detects solvent. So this happened the last time we did a show together, so I wonder if that might be a thing. The next thing I got was like a odd, like, aroma that just reminded me of like suntan lotion. And I'm trying to unravel that. Like, what is the flavor that I'm getting that's making me think of that? And I think there might be like a kind of like a coconut oil, which could be kind of like a goaty kind of note. So that was kind of an interesting flavor. Definitely something that's derived from some kind of fat or fatty acid. That was kind of an interesting note in the beer that stood out. From there, the phenols just came up really intense. It went up from the allspice. It just like came up to being like really strong white pepper and leaning a little bit towards plastic. Then once I got it in my mouth, it was almost faintly smoky, like on the phenol. The phenols are really, really aggressive and a little bit going into territory that aren't the super desirable phenols that you want to be driving this Saison. The color was really beautiful. I love when Saison has that orangey golden color. The first bottle we poured was not quite brilliant, but the second bottle is actually brilliantly clear, which is really lovely to look at. That first one we noticed, like, a little bit of floaties, not a lot, but just a couple. There's a visible carbonation to it, and that first bottle too, we didn't mention. The first bottle climbed a little bit when we opened it.
Yeah,
Did you mention that?
Yeah, and as I was opening it, I was like, oh, it didn't pop up there.
Yeah, the second one didn't. So there's some subtle differences there. I think probably if you left these bottles for another month, they'd have a huge difference. But I think maybe they were bottled fairly recently, and so they only have a small difference. The medium body for me, well, then again, even in the second one, there's the body is a little bit more medium light. For me, Saison should be pretty light. It should be like light bodied, and you're filling in the gaps with carbonation. There's a little bit of sweetness to it, which, Saison should be nearly completely fermented out, just no sugar left. And
very dry.
Yeah, it's a possibility that maybe there's slightly excessive specialty malt that's kind of driving up that sense of body. In which case, I would either add an adjunct if you want to keep that color, add more adjunct, or just remove it. Just let it be a little bit simpler to get the body lighter and get less sweetness in the finish, or less of an impression of sweetness. The esters, I didn't talk about esters at all in the flavor aroma because they're, except for that one mention of pear and the underripe peach, which tied a little bit to the slight acetaldehyde. But in the flavor, you don't really get a whole lot of ester character, except in the very finish, you get kind of an appley tone, which, most Saisons should have just a little more ester. Although I do like a phenol-driven Saison. My overall impression was just that it was a good Saison with just a slightly over-dominating phenol character that didn't really play well with the other flavors. I skipped over something I mentioned in flavor, which is that the bitterness was a little dominant and also had kind of a harsh quality. I love Saisons that are appropriately bitter, don't get me wrong. Most American breweries make Saisons, and most American homebrewers make Saisons like way under bitter. They're like, oh, it's this like
it should be light and fruity.
Beer.
Right.
No, Saison is a bitter beer style. You know, it's supposed to have that like refreshing bitterness, kind of like tonic water or something.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the level of bitterness for me on this beer is great. There is a little bit of a harsh quality to the bitterness that makes it kind of stand out a little awkwardly. But this, this is kind of a nitpicking thing. This is a good beer.
That's what we're here for.
Yeah.
To pick those nits, man.
It is good, and I agree. The second bottle is better. Probably, instead of the 25, a little more towards 27, 28, maybe 30. Yeah.
And, it just, like Nicole was saying, even new bottles can have stuff in them. Working at a homebrew shop for 10 years, like stuff falls in bottles all the time. So definitely make sure you clean them out. Yeah, it could also be just something that got through the bottling wand or whatever into the. Just stuff like that happens.
Into the fermenter kind of stuff.
That thing that finally dislodged, even though you cleaned everything thoroughly, but it still just
happened to me so many times, dude. Jesus.
Because it's not like for how big that one floaty is that's in there. Like, the beer should be, like, completely contaminated. Like, that's a lot of... That would reflect a lot of microbial load. But it's not horribly contaminated. So it kind of makes me wonder if it's, like, a sanitized piece of gunk that got
it could be. The surface is clean and whatever. What did you give the beer? Did you already say, Nicole?
I gave it a 27.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right, Bill and Sarah, what do you think? Who do you want to yell at first?
Question.
Well, I can't yell at anybody if there's a floaty in it.
Yeah, but that you guys are homebrewers. That happens all the time. That's not a super big deal.
We were kind of in a well, I was in a rush, filling the bottles.
The truth emerges.
And we use a counter pressure filter, so
okay.
It's possible something got in the bottle. I dunked them in sanitizer before I filled them, so who knows?
Yeah, so it probably dislodged from where the fitting meets the hose or something like internal. Who knows?
Could be something inside the counter pressure filler too.
Could be a little piece of a rubber bong. Who knows?
Inside there, yeah.
But did you guys have any questions for Nicole and Brian as far as their feedback or anything maybe they didn't cover that you
or do you
want them to?
Tell us about things that went well or didn't go well with your batch. How did fermentation go from your perspective?
Well, this one actually fermented out a lot more than usual, I thought. It started at a 1058 and ended at a 1002. So,
but the temperature got up high.
Yeah.
That could be a good thing.
Yeah.
We usually ferment them high, so it was probably in the low 80s.
It depends. Which Saison yeast strain was this?
It's the Bell Star Bell Saison. Yeah.
I'm not
familiar with that one either. Dry yeast, right? Dan Star's dry yeast?
Yeah, it's a dry yeast.
Okay. And how do you prep your dry yeast? Do you yeast starter? Because,
I cough on mine a lot.
No. We
rehydrate.
Rehydrate. Yeah, we've heard that you should never do a starter with a dry yeast. It's always just rehydrate it.
Never. You can. It's not gonna hurt to do that. It's always gonna help, I think, to do a starter with anything, right?
You'd want to hydrate it and then put it in the starter, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But yeah.
You don't want to hydrate it in the presence of a bunch of sugar. That would really be stressful.
Yeah.
The yeast would be like, I just woke up. I can't handle this. What do you want me to do?
Shutting down.
Yeah, totally.
Absolutely.
It would shock it.
Do you guys have the recipe handy, if you wouldn't mind sharing that? Oh, I'm sorry, Bill, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Recipe, it's 56% Pilsner. Jeez, I can't even talk.
It's late there, I know.
It's kind of late here. Yeah, it's after midnight. So.
Oh, geez.
Oh, wow.
We're gonna let it all hang out.
34% Brianna, 8.5% torrefied wheat, and 1.5% caramel Munich 60L.
Okay, and what about your hopping rates? And
I'll let Sarah read that.
Okay.
Okay.
You're warmed up, though.
Yeah.
They're a team.
60 minutes, we put in a half ounce of East Kent Golding.
A full ounce.
Oh, yeah, that's full ounce. We were using two different leftovers.
Okay.
At 10 minutes, we had 0.25 ounces of Saison, 0.25 ounces of St. Celia. At 2 minutes, we put in 0.75 ounces of Saison and 0.75 ounces of St. Celia.
I've never heard of that.
I don't know
that hop before. Yeah,
I'm not very familiar with it. I've heard of it, but I'm not very familiar. I couldn't.
Yeah, I think it's the Golding is in parentheses, so it's a combo.
Okay. All right.
Maybe it's like a
something the homebrew shop.
Golding.
So.
Yeah. Kind of earthy, but maybe that's that kind of like stone fruity, almost green apricot kind of thing.
That could be adding to that, that kind of peachy,
and to the general spiciness.
Well, should we drop the amount of hops we're putting in then? Or?
No.
I don't think so.
I think
you can bump them.
So
right?
you said that you've been playing around with different yeast every time you make this. Is that right?
We've tried two different types of yeast. Both of them were dry. One of them was Safale 134.
Yeah, the new one.
Yeah, that we got from the Homebrew Con in Minnesota. So
I wish I knew more.
I think
about
we
dry
prefer
yeast.
the.
yeah, we prefer the Bell's
Saison.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing would be cutting back on the alcohol.
Yeah, this one got up there.
What's the
So,
ABV?
7.4.
That's for me. That's right in there for Saison. I mean, it's on the upper end, but
I mean, DuPont is what, 6'4"?
no, I think it's right around. Well,
6'5"?
yeah, I guess it is
6-ish.
around 6.5, but
Yeah.
4A, which I slightly prefer, is above 7.
Yeah.
But you know, above 7's okay.
It's on the borderline between a table and a super, or kind of a standard.
Yeah,
Saison and a super.
BJCP said this was a super. So
Yeah.
I think the thing that's the most challenging about brewing Saison is mastering the yeast. So, I mean, you're right to experiment a little bit, but that's, I think, your challenge for perfecting this is continuing to work with the yeast, trying to repitch. I don't know a lot about dry yeast, to be honest. I don't have any experience working with it myself. But with a lot of yeast, a lot of Saison yeast strains, a lot of brewers talk about that Saison pitch really just not being shit until like that that third batch or so,
Okay. All right. Interesting.
and then others saying like the second one or the first one, but it's Saison yeasts are very finicky and tough to work with, and they like things just so. And it's a relationship that you have to form. You have to figure out like what it likes and when it wants it, and what temperature it's going to be at, and it just takes time to really get it and to really master it so that you can replicate that same beer again. It's,
Right. Find out what temperature your strain likes, and move from there. But and also maybe with the dry yeast too. Once you hydrate it, you can. And it's ready to go. Instead of just dumping it right in, you can acclimate it to the wort you're going to give it, and add a little bit at a time to the, if it's a starter, or just something that you just hydrated, get it ready to go by just kind of slowly adding some of the wort at a time until it gets up a little more sugar, and then okay, here you go. But it's a little trick, but it's not
gonna hurt.
I mean, that might not be the big difference in the world, but it's a little something you can try.
But I think that they'll know. I mean, it's the same recipe that they've done a few times now. I think 5. So I think that maybe they would know. It would be a noticeable difference when you have that kind of backlog to go on. Should we talk recipe real fast? How was the recipe? Can they kind of tweak it out a little bit there, or?
It was It went by kind of quick there. Pils, Vienna, and the 1.5% Cara Munich for some color there. I guess that's okay. Yeah, good amount of wheat. You could probably.
I like the torrefied wheat.
Yeah,
as an
you
adjunct.
might even bump up
lighten
the
body.
wheat a little more.
Yeah, you could totally bump that up. Maybe add a little more of that and take away a little bit of the
pulling the Vienna back might give the sweetness, get it out of the way a little more. And let that dryness kind of shine
for
through.
a 1002 finisher, it does kind of have the
impression of sweetness.
Yeah, it has like a bigger body than you expect for something that finished so dry on paper. There's definitely some textures or something going on in here that's.
And whatever the yeast was you used on the award-winning one, go back to that and try that. If it was, maybe it was the same.
That was actually
the same
the dry. That was the Dan Star Saison.
Yeah,
so,
try it. Yeah,
maybe.
No, I think
dry yeast.
I'd like to try White Labs yeast next on it, though. The liquid yeast. So.
Just be warned.
Just to try it.
Yeah.
Use it and try and harvest and repitch it, because a lot of those yeasts just do better on that second, or third generation.
Yeah, or maybe make just a 1 gallon wort.
Yeah.
And basically like a big starter, like a 1 gallon starter. Dump that vial in, or the pack now, and then let that ferment.
Yeah.
Decant, and then that's your starter.
Or make a table beer. And you have 2 beers.
Make a table beer. Table beers are great, by the way.
They're underrated.
And then you were also saying, Nicole, just a little bit, maybe a little more bitterness? A little bit more?
No, the bitterness is good.
Okay, all right.
There's a character to the bitterness that's a little bit harsh. So maybe that's coming from using something like EKG for bittering. Maybe you want to use something that's just a little higher alpha and super clean, low.
Like Magnum or something, or
maybe, just
it doesn't seem like a water thing to me. It seems like the water's pretty good. I don't think that sometimes the water will play off the bitterness in a weird way and give you some harshness, but
you could probably save some money using a higher alpha, cleaner bittering hop too. So, why not?
Bill, Sarah, are you guys good with that? Do you have anything else? Any lingering questions?
No, sounds good.
Okay.
Good job, guys.
Awesome.
Thank you for staying up late for us, you guys.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I appreciate the beers. And if you rebrew it, let us know how it goes.
We will.
Thanks.
Cool. All right, guys.
Thanks.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. They're a brewing team, man.
Absolutely. We're going to take a quick break here, folks, and then we're going to give some stuff out, and then we're going to leave. That's kind of how it works here on Dr. Homebrew. But before we do that, Brian was talking about water, and that, of course, means you have to go to smartbrewkit.com and enter code TBN10 and save $10 on either the standard or advanced thing. Well, what is the thing? It's the iDip Smart Brew Testing Kit. It's for home or commercial use. You can email the results of your water test to the rest of your brew team, or if you're a home brewer in a club or whatever, post your Facebook page, let your homebrew club know what's going on with your water. You can test for over 40 different tests. 4 come preloaded, and more are available, and you can test for stuff like total alkalinity, chloride, calcium hardness, pH, sulfate, all that kind of stuff, with only 4 mils of water needed for each test. And the best part is no math on your part. The thing does it's a computer that does the stuff.
Hard.
Math,
Barbie.
Math is super hard. I hate math. I have to use my phone to do addition. I'm just stupid. So if you're dumb like me, or if you're smart and you don't want to use your brain because you want to give it a rest, it's the iDip.
You don't trust your water board. What are they putting in there this month?
SmartBrewKit.com. All right, everybody, we're going to be right back after this.
Do you know the 3 most important rules in brewing? Sanitation, sanitation, and sanitation. And no one does it better than 5-Star Chemicals. 5-Star knows sanitation. You can only sanitize clean equipment. And 5-Star knows how to clean, too. For craft brewers and home brewers, 5-Star has what you need to keep your fermenters, serving tanks, kegs, and draft lines sparkling and free of any beer-spoiling bacteria. PBW, caustic, acid cleaners, Star Sand, SaniClean, lubricants and defoamers, pH stabilizers, and more. 5-Star Chemicals has cleaning supplies, safety supplies, heat exchangers, pumps, hoses, and valves. And 5-Star is proud to offer eco-friendly products that exceed customer expectations. If you have a cleaning problem, you need the 5-Star solution. Visit 5starchemicals.com or call 800-782-7019. 800-782-7019 and get the 5-Star treatment today.
Are you a member of the White Labs Customer Club? If not, you should be. It's the easiest way to earn free stuff for turning in your old homebrew labels from either Vials or Pure Pitch. All you have to do is save your labels and redeem them for things like free yeast, an exclusive White Labs t-shirt or sweatshirt, and even the opportunity to brew with the yeast man himself, Chris White. Signing up is easy. Just go to whitelabs.com/customer club, fill out the registration form, and then mail in your labels. They will return the favor by sending you awesome White Labs swag. Go sign up today at whitelabs.com/customer club. White Labs, pure yeast and fermentation since 1995.
I'm sorry to tell you this, but we're going to have to pour you out.
Back to Dr. Homebrew.
All right. Thanks for sticking with us, everybody. Excuse me, the smoke is choking me.
There's a lot of people out drinking here tonight, too, at the Hop Grenade.
Yeah, I don't know why. I would be home. If I didn't have to be here, I would be home right now.
Maybe their home's too smoky, like they live outdoors.
Yeah, maybe. Or like they're in... Nicole is out like in more of the East Bay, like there's San Leandro area, and she's like, it's terrible out there. So it's better here. So maybe that's
tourism based on your... Yeah.
God.
Your locale.
Oh, man. Anyway, okay, Brian, we're going to give away the $40 Grog Tag. At least your beer will look good gift certificate.
Yeah.
Good for grogtag.com. And actually, if you want to save 25%, let me just say this right now. Grog Tag has been working on a new website. and they previewed it a little bit at HomebrewCon here this past year. But it's a lot of cool stuff that people have been asking for, like a photo library, an account system, even the ability to add text boxes and move them around, all sorts of stuff. So their beta site is now live. If you go to grogtag.com right now, you'll get a pop-up window. It'll say, hey, if you want to save 25% on your order, try our new site. So there you go. That's cool. A little GrogTag plug there for you. Okay, who won the $40 gift certificate?
It was close, but it's going to Bill and Sarah this time.
Bill and Sarah, all right.
Yeah, their label already did look good, but yeah.
That's true. Good job. Good job.
They'll make it look even better, or make a metal sign for the garage or something. Yeah.
Hell yeah. All right, everybody, we're going to get out of here and take a break and get more beer into us. Speaking of more beer wants to change your malt game with Viking Malt. Hailing from Northern Europe, Viking Malt is a family-owned malt house since 1883 and is the largest specialty malt producer in the world. Their base malts are malted from null-lox varietals that do not contain the enzyme lipooxygenase. God damn, I can't figure that one out. I wrote it, and I just tripped me up, which leads to trans 2-nonenal in beer, which is responsible for the stale cardboard flavors. So head over to morebeer.com and brew with ingredients from the future. All right, everyone, hang on. Okay. If you're listening live, we'll be right back here in about 5 minutes. If not, I don't know, skip next. I don't know what to tell you. But
get a beer.
We'll see you later.
Cheers.